By now, it is likely that you have seen our video on magnesium chloride and all the damage that road de-icers can potentially be doing to your car in the winter months. But in spite of kind of the facts of that, we do have comments on some of the posts like this one. Now, we don't want to say that you're wrong, but we do want to show you, give you a little bit of science behind why you might actually see this kind of damage on your car. So we're going to do a little science experiment for you today. What we've got here is just a piece of raw steel, so similar to what your exhaust pipes, your muffler might be made out of, certain body panels might be made of. So raw metal. We've got a dilution of magnesium chloride. So as you know from the other video, magnesium chloride is what they're spraying on the roads or dropping on the roads to mitigate ice and keep it safe for you to drive when the conditions are really cold. What we're going to do is we're going to replicate that process here. We're going to spray some onto this panel. We're going to let it sit for a period of time, wipe it off, and show you kind of the progression of damage to recreate what it's like for your car. So obviously you drive through snowy, icy conditions, you wash it off, you drive back onto the road, and there's more of that magnesium chloride getting kicked up and stuck to the surfaces. So we're gonna go through a cycle over and over and over again. We'll speed up the footage so you don't have to wait for the damage, but we'll show you exactly what's happening so you have a better understanding of what's going on the underside of your car and why it's so important to remove this stuff from the surfaces so you don't have damage. So we're just gonna coat it real well, just as if this was driving down the highway. And then we're gonna leave it here to sit, and we'll come back and check on this in a few hours and see how it's doing. So here we are 2 hours later, almost exactly. And you can see, and hopefully it showed up in the time lapse for you, but we're already starting to see, if I run my finger there, you can actually see it more. The rust is already starting to form. So now picture this is your car. You've just driven through a snowstorm. You've run through some de-icer, and now this is what's happening to the undercarriage of your car. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and clear this off. We'll give it a wipe, take a look and see if there's any etching yet. Oh yeah, so if you look, you can see where it is starting to etch. You can actually see patterns of where the spray was already showing up on the metal. So that would be kind of after you've cleaned it, it's starting to etch. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just kind of keep the process going. So almost like you went out and you drove again the next day, and the roads still have mag chloride on them. We're gonna spray it this time, but now we're gonna let it sit and we're gonna leave it overnight and revisit this tomorrow.
The following day.
Here we are after 2 full days, and there's like a crusty film of rust on this, and we can wipe it off. But something really interesting has happened. Let's wipe that away so we can look at it. So we have a lot of surface rust on this. What's more interesting is we forgot that we were soaking the towel with mag chloride as we were doing this. Now we have that result, which is a little bit more than just basic surface rust. It's actually starting to pit the surface. But we're going to spray the other side again, keep recreating that cycle of snow and thaw and you washing and cleaning your car, and then we will come back and observe it. We're gonna give it a full weekend to sit here, replicating what would happen to your car if you didn't take it to an auto wash location after a snowstorm. Here we are a little bit over a week later and multiple treatments. So again, we're recreating that cycle of snow, road de-icers, and you driving through it, going home, it dries, you go back out on the road, maybe it snows again, or maybe there's still ice and snow melt on the road. But what we ended up with, as you'll see in the time lapse, we slowly watched it change, but this is really corroded. And again, this is just a typical steel panel. So this is the kind of things that the underside of your car is made out of. So if you think about it in terms of what your car sees and what it experiences out there, as the de-icers are doing their thing and that magnesium chloride is attaching to the surface. And maybe you go, I'll put off washing for another week, or I'll wait a couple weeks until I do it. Well, this is what's happening. And while this is only surface level at this point, it only took us a week to get to this point, and we were spraying just a little bit of a diluted solution on it at a time. Now, if you repeat the exposure over and over and over again, you got layers upon layers of magnesium chloride reacting with that surface. It's not long before this surface rust turns into something a little bit more significant, where we have actual holes in the material or structural integrity is weakened. That's something we definitely don't want to see. And it just doesn't look good. It's not good for the long-term durability of your car, but it doesn't look good either. Especially if you spent any time under your car changing your oil or rotating tires, you're gonna see like, ugh, it's all this stuff. It's unavoidable. You're gonna be exposed to this if you live in a cold winter climate. We're not saying that you can prevent rust 100%, but you can mitigate this damage by getting that magnesium chloride, getting those de-icers off as frequently as possible, so they don't have a chance to become a more serious issue down the road. So hopefully this is helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, or give us a follow if you're on one of our social platforms so you can see more content like this and we give you more educational tips. And stay tuned for more Beyond the Wash, because you love your car.